CBN hikes interest rate to 26.75%. That is what the story is saying. However, Nasima is saying that the NPR hike increases the uncertainty for businesses. I'd like to start with you, Popoola, in terms of this. This is not the first time the CBN is doing this in the last couple of years. I mean, it seems to be the only tool they have in dealing with the rise in inflation in the country, but it does not seem to help. Or do you see this? Do you think this will help at this point in time? What's different about this that will make it help?
Thank you very much, Lulu. I don't see it bringing any help or succor to the problems facing Nigerians and business circle, because we can recall that in this maybe this year alone now, this will be the third time
Fourth.
or
Fourth time, yes.
fourth time that this interest rate is being increased from maybe started from maybe around 19 to now we are now at 26 point something, 26.75. And I remember about a month ago or less than a month ago when we are talking about this particular issue again, that the monetary policy of government and the fiscal policy of any government must have a meeting point. And it seems as if these people have really lost their wits. They are at wit ends now. I mean the CBN and the presidency, because this should not be only the mayor they have to bring or step down inflation in Nigeria. There are other measures they can look at. There are other things they can do.
Other things like
Failing to do the needful. Now,
what's the needful?
now look at what is happening. You continue to increase the interest rate. At whose expense? This, you want production, you want manufacturing houses to continue to produce, and you are increasing the interest rate. Then if they approach the bank, what would they come out with? There's no person, there's no thinking, right thinking person that will approach the bank with that kind of interest rate value, that will want to go to that bank, because that is, if you want borrow 100 naira, you will be paying as much as maybe 30 something naira interest rate. Then what kind of business do you want to do with that money and earn profit on it? And even you can't even be thinking of profit, because the margin is already eroded. So that's why I said they have lost. They are at their wit ends now. Of course, the one they have done in the last 2 or 3 months was enough. They should have looked at how they can help the economy, rather than continue to increase the interest rate. Increasing the interest rate should not be only means or at which they want to reduce inflation.
I need to turn to Ojasope on this particular one. Now, you will recall it was earlier this month, Aliko Dangote also touched on this. I think it was in the presence of
Yes.
the Vice President, and he's saying that the increase to about 26.25% at that time.
Yeah.
An interest rate of close to 30% by the central bank will hurt local manufacturing businesses. What else can they do? Is it those in charge of the monetary policy, or the government can do to actually reduce inflation? Because that's what they are trying to fight.
Well, I don't know. Sincerely speaking, I don't know what else they can do, because when I had this news yesterday, I was like, this central bank governor is no longer central bank governor; he's interest rate governor, because this is the fourth time, and the more they increases, the more the outcome goes contrary to what you expect increase in interest rate to give to the central bank and to the financial system in Nigeria. But what I'm just looking at is, like Popoola said, we have a situation where factories are shutting up. We have a situation where manufacturers are complaining. We have a situation where small scale businesses don't have access to credit facilities. And yet you are increasing this interest rate. So whose interest is the central bank protecting? That question I can't answer.
How
Because
else can you deal with
consistently,
inflation?
is
How
it
else do you suggest they deal with inflation?
They can
inflation is
diversify the
not static.
portfolio.
Inflation is not static. You don't have to follow the manual, World Bank manual or IMF manual to tackle inflation. what caused inflation in Nigeria might not be the same thing that caused it in the US or any other place. So we have to look at it critically. What are we producing? We are not a producing nation, for God's sake, and you are not making your financial policies to encourage production. Because if the interest rates keep going up, how are people going to produce? Who are they going to approach for credit facilities? And how are they going to pay back? Because you keep hearing banks declaring ridiculous profits, yet manufacturers are complaining. So where are they making the profits from? Through this kind of interest rates and all other tariffs that the central bank come up with and the banks keep charging. Yet businesses are collapsing. So we can't marry the two. If businesses are collapsing in Nigeria and banks are declining profits and the CBN is keep increasing interest rate, then you now have to have the CBN governor and the CBN as an entity that whose interest is the CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, are protecting.
Let's take your reactions to this story so far. The next story we are going to has to do with the president addressing Nigerian youths, saying, "Protest needless. I'm addressing your grievances." That is what the president is saying in terms of the proposed protest scheduled for the 1st of August across the nation. Still tied to that story, you have the SGF and ministers holding an emergency meeting. They tend to have an emergency meeting. Touch on the story having to do with the economy. You have Otedola talking about the Dangote refinery, saying supporting local champions crucial to Nigeria's economic development. That's tied to that. You have Kiari, that's the group executive, chief executive officer of the NNPCL, say that it doesn't own a blending plant. That was based off the allegation by Dangote that there are some of these key players in the government sectors who actually own a blending plant. There is that story. But you have OB, you have additional, you have Otedola saying that the trend of the stance of the regulators against what it seems like they are standing against a business in Nigeria, and that it's worrisome. What do you make of the situation?
Of course, it's worrisome because with what is happening at the moment, it will discourage a lot of investors coming to Nigeria to come and put in their money. You don't expect somebody who have invested so much billion of dollars into a plant or such
about 20 billion.
Yes. And now when it comes to getting the input in order to make use to really have what we needed as a people, is not getting it. And some people have also put themselves together to frustrate the deal, of which maybe there was something that was promised them that is not fulfilling or is not making up to, because there is more to that story, there is more to what is going on than the public can know. If not, I believe if they have been able to meet up with the agreement among themselves, Dangote wouldn't have come out to be ranting now.
What sort of agreement are you alluding to?
You see, it may
legal
not.
or illegal
Whichever
agreement?
name you give it, whichever name you give the thing. Of course, for Dangote to have come out at this moment, before now, it was not coming out, it was not saying anything, it was all positive. Now, just in the last 3 weeks now, all things have now turned negative. And it's as a result of the things that are not seen by people, or that cannot even be spoken out in the public space. The one he's telling us is what he wants us to know.
I'll turn to you, Jasobe. What do you make of what's going on?
Well, to start with, I think the whole charade is an indictment on the presidency, because Mr. President is assumed to be the Minister for Petroleum. If I'm not mistaken.
Good.
Yeah. So, if he's the Minister for Petroleum and you are having all these shameful allegations and counter allegations on what was presumed to be like a lifeline for our petroleum product shortage in the country, and it's dragging for so long. It was in this same studio. Then it was Fatai that was here that we were talking about their production was supposed to start last August.
Yeah.
Now we are in July.
It was shifted again.
But
and
a year
again.
after, still there's no production of
Mm.
PMS, and that could have been a major relief for Nigerians when the production of when they started the release of diesel. There was no issue. It was when they set time for release of petroleum PMS, that was
And
when
jet fuel.
that was when wahala started. It doesn't meet standard. There is no crude to supply it. All these things. Like he said, there is more to it than meets the eye. But to me, I believe that all those at this critical moment, because this same GMD of NNPCL was the one that was there in the previous administration. There was no attack on Dangote. There was nothing against the refinery till this moment. So what has gone wrong? Because if it were to be a new person now, it's maybe because he was not privy to some of the agreements, so he's scrutinizing it and all this. So all these things is a national embarrassment. And I believe very strongly that the accusers are not patriotic. So I align with Mr. Femi of Tedola. I align with Mr. Adesina.
That means you align with Atiku also on this.
I align with Atiku on this because they have no justification at this crucial point. Because the average Nigerian is hoping that once PMS production starts from Dangote refinery, the price of petroleum products, PMS, will go down, and people will sigh for relief. Where is it now? Where is it all taking us?
You want to say something?
You see, we've always been talking about cartel over the years in this country. Now, what is happening? Just tell us that there are cartels again that want to frustrate the effort of this man in ensuring that Nigeria continue to suffer.
Are you saying there's a group of people or organizations within Nigeria who their
Even
interest
within and outside.
Their interest supersedes the interest of the people?
Definitely.
Then how come the government is not doing enough to
They are
pursue
in
the interest of the
government.
people?
They are also outside the government.
Lulu, the first thing I said is this is an indictment on the presidency, because the greatest cartel in the whole world is Nigerian presidency. Really? There is no presidency that is as powerful as Nigerian presidency.
Well, how do you hold on a minute. Let's not do that comparison. Which presidency is more powerful than the other?
Yes, because what president in Nigeria can go scot-free with, I doubt if it is possible in other climes. That's why I said it's very, very powerful. So if there is a cartel that is operating freely, it's because the president has not decided to hammer down on the cartel.
I do know in Nigeria the president, can't go for a third term. And you have in places where the president is going for the fourth term.
Maybe there is an exception of
you have. we could quote. But I get
that could still happen.
Hello, good morning. I'm not responding to that. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Sunday calling from Ibadan.
Go ahead, Sunday.
You see, I'm still saying it. There is no hope for this regime at all. No hope. You see, they are still increasing the interest rate. Who is that person that will go and borrow to trade and he pays the interest of 30 naira and he will be trading with 70 naira and want to pay the worker inside that 70 naira and still want to make his own gain to pay his bill
and still pay tax.
They shouldn't have been increasing. They are increasing. The government are not producing anything. People now, this electricity now is almost going. We didn't see any statement of the government have set a fund. Nothing like that. And we are not producing, we are not importing. I suspect that the people who are stealing our oil, they are the people in charge of this Dangote problem. Because if Dangote is collecting the crude oil for the refinery, there will be no chance for them to steal our oil again. Because they use that method to take our oil in the process that they want to go and refine to build petrol.
10 seconds.
That's the way they are taking our oil. Now, Dangote is there to operate. So there will be no chance for them to do that. That is why they are trying to stop Dangote not to torture.
Thank you for your take. Thank you for your take. We're still taking more reactions from you. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Very well, thank you. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, I'm Festus Udona from Elebu.
Go ahead.
This interest rate is
Today, in that story, of course, you have Tinubu pleads, and that's there. You also have Egbetokun also warning, as in he says that they've mapped out plans to ensure that no individual or group succeeds in fostering a reign of terror and anarchy on the law-abiding and deserving Nigerians. That story is also there. In terms of the president pleading with the protesters, he's saying that it's needless. He's saying that he's already addressing, he has heard the grievances of Nigerians and he's already addressing it. Do you buy this narrative from the president? I'll start with you, Jessica.
I don't buy it too.
Is the president not addressing?
He should not even say that to me.
To
To us.
Is the president not
Because
addressing our grievances already? Don't
how
you see
many?
that?
How many? He can say whatever he likes to say. I want to go by the results, the effects.
In terms of insecurity, you have the IGP
Oh,
already
yes,
talking
yes.
about it being going down. In terms of inflation, you have the what
Thank
the
you.
CBN has done right now.
Thank you for bringing that of security.
Mhm.
Because even yesterday, they rescued one Chibok girl and 330 others. That very, very commendable.
So he says he's addressing our
but
grievances.
but we're talking about hunger. This is a protest against hunger and mismanagement of our resources. So how has Mr. President managed that?
What about the
They've
trucks of food
announced that
that's been sent?
trucks of rice,
Mm.
of whatever, or grains, or whatever. So how many trucks will take care of Oyo State, for instance? 20 trucks. Can 20 trucks go round? One cup per citizen? So those are not enough.
Minimum wage,
The minimum wage that has not been-
70,000 naira. It's
Yeah,
been passed.
yes. I know the president, they expedited action on that minimum wage, to placate people before the proposed protest.
What more
But
do the people
those are not enough. We want an economy where there is minimal, palliative. You don't have not a palliative economy where every moment, every now and then, people will have to depend on the government providing palliative before they can survive, before they can live. We want such a situation where the economy itself is buoyant and vibrant enough for people to live. He's talking about not just minimum wage. He said living wage. Those who are not even collecting from government too, they have every right to live. So that's what we're talking about. The way they are mismanaging, this government is not putting the priorities right. It's not putting the priorities right. Those who are in government and the corridor of power, they are living so big, while those others are being impoverished. It's not right. It's not good. So I support the protest.
Oh, so you'll be
But
protesting.
it must be a peaceful protest.
You will be
How
protesting.
do
I'll
you-
join them.
How do
I'll
you
join them.
ensure that there's going to be or is going to be a peaceful protest? That
The
is the
government
question
has
now.
that responsibility to ensure that
Let me tell us.
they should not
I've
beg us
seen,
not to
At
protest.
least we have been in this land now quite for some time, and even not only in Nigeria, across the world, there are places where protests have worked, but in our land, protests have never achieved much. It has
Really?
never, yes, it hasn't achieved much. The one we had in 2020 EndSARS, what was the outcome? The one we had,
What about the previous ones?
the previous
During
one,
Jonathan's administration.
the
Even
previous
prior
protests
to
too,
that,
what were the outcomes?
What about the protest in terms of Yaradua handing over power to Goodluck Jonathan? It was effective, wasn't it?
There wasn't that. It was an engagement. That was an engagement.
Oh, there were protests in Lagos.
That was an engagement.
Oh, so
That was an
Subsidy
engagement.
protest was
what's
successful.
the difference?
Let me tell you something. You see,
Hold on a minute. Let's be clear on
Yes.
terms. There was a protest during Yaradua's administration
when Yarada was sick,
when he was sick.
Yes.
Why now you're dubbing it an engagement? What's
see-
the difference
you
between
see,
a protest and
how
an engagement?
many people were in that protest?
There was a subsidy removal also. Protests, places were blocked, and we were playing football
In
on the
2012?
streets. I recall.
Yes.
January 2012.
Go ahead.
What was
that
the
an
outcome?
engagement?
It was successful.
The people, you don't measure. When there were deaths of people in a protest, and you are saying it is successful.
So it was not
What
successful.
success has it brought? The family of the victims that died.
Mm.
No,
What success has it brought to them? What success has it brought to them?
You don't measure.
No.
You don't
I
measure.
don't agree with you
Let me
on
tell
this
you.
one.
Let me
That
explain.
there should be a protest. There is a way to engage government. We have organized
How?
private sector. We have organized, groups in different organized
Have
groups
those
in
ones been
Nigeria.
successful?
Of course, they
How?
are achieving.
Like-
I can't remember this one that used to take the federal government to court.
Serap.
Serap. They've won many court cases.
And how
NBA has won many court
in
cases
terms of
against the federal government.
implementation.
NLC has just won one now. Now, student loan is there. They are moving forward.
So
In fact, it was even said that the northern students in Nigeria now put in more application than the southern students, and they are accessing the loan. Now, what areas do we now need to focus on? How to ensure that we diminish hunger in the land? It's about commodities.
So we can take reactions. You were saying that the president is doing enough to address the people's grievances.
I'm not saying he's doing enough, but he's doing something. But then we can engage him more.
So there is no need for a protest.
There isn't, because it won't achieve anything.
Let's take your reactions to the stories so far. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you.